Are your hips feeling tight and achy? Have you been sitting for hours and hours and now your hips just hurt? Well, I'm going to show you my favorite stretch for stretching the hips, stretching the hamstrings, and even stretching the feet. It's called a low lunge. There are a couple different ways to do it, and as you know, I always like to show variations and options. So I'm going to show you a couple variations and options for a low lunge, awesome for stretching the hips. So we're going to come down onto the floor and we are going to come onto our knees. Now it's great to have blocks for this pose. If you don't have blocks, don't worry about it. You don't need it, but it definitely is helpful to have 2 blocks because it will help you with your balance. So I'm going to show you both with and without blocks how to do this pose. So let's start in our tabletop position. So we know our tabletop position. Hands right underneath the shoulders, knees under the hips. And then we're going to step the right foot forward so that the ankle is right underneath the knee. And we're going to come up onto the left knee, bringing the hands onto the hips. Now, from here, you want to think about slightly tucking the pelvis underneath you so you're not sticking your butt out like this. Your pelvis is right underneath you. Again, the right knee right over the ankle, square off the hips so your hip bones are facing forward. And for some people, this is plenty. You're getting already a stretch in the front of the quad here, maybe in the hips, and wherever you feel it, you feel it. So you can always stay here. Inhale, bring the arms up. You're also challenging your balance a little bit, so you want to pull the belly in, maybe look at something to help you balance, find your focus. Staying here for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the hands back down. Now, if you want a little bit more, you can always walk your front foot out a little bit. So your front foot is now forward of the knee. Inhale, and then just let the hips move down towards the floor. So as you see, I'm getting an even deeper stretch of this left hip flexor. You can stay here with the hands on the hips. You can bring the arms up, stay here for a count of whatever you want, 5, 3, 10. Or you can use your blocks here. Let me show you with the blocks and just bring the blocks right underneath your shoulders. Press into the floor with the blocks. This will help you balance. So here we are. We'll stay for one more breath. And then from here, to sneak in a little hamstring stretch, we're going to pull the hips back, stretch that right leg, flex the foot so the right knee is straight, toes pointing up, stretching the back of the leg, and we're going to hinge forward any amount. But be careful when you hinge forward. You want to keep pulling that right hip back. You want to keep the back straight. So we don't want to be doing this. We want to lift the chest, nice straight spine, and just hinge forward till you feel something in the back of that right leg. May not take a lot. So you can stay here for a few breaths. I would say a minimum of 30 seconds for each of these poses, up to a minute. But start where you can. So if 5 seconds is where you're at, just start there. And then you're going to come back up, lift the chest, bring the hands to the floor. So move your blocks, bring your hands to the floor, and just bring that right foot back. All right, so let's do the other side. We're stepping forward with the left foot. Same thing. Square the hips, hands to the hips, knee right over the ankle. Gently tuck that pelvis. Inhale the arms up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, if you want to add a little more juice to it, you can walk the foot forward and let the hips move towards the floor. You can either leave your arms up here or you can bring them back to the hips. Staying here for a few breaths. Feels good, doesn't it? So let me know in the comments how this feels. I'd love to know how it feels on your hips. I know how it feels on my hips, but I'd love to know how it feels on your hips. One more breath. All right, so from here, let's pull the hips back. So we're just taking our time, pulling the hips back, straightening this left leg, flexing the foot, hands on the hips. Now, if you don't have blocks, you can still do it. You're just going to hinge forward. It's just a little bit more challenging for your core. You have to really balance. And if you're wobbling, don't worry. Wobbling is working. Wobbling is working. So we're staying here, pulling the left hip back, hinging forward from the waist. I'm definitely wobbling a little bit. Here we go, 2 more breaths. And we're coming back up to center. Bring the hands down to the floor. Bring the knees back together. And there you have it. Low lunge with a little hamstring stretch to stretch the hips, stretch the hamstrings. It also strengthens the core, does lots of different things. So please let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to answer them. And if you have any other body aches, pains that you want me to do a video about how to help that part of the body, I'm happy to share. So thanks for watching. See you again soon.